Hello there everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Thomas and today we're looking at directing tips, episode number 2, right after this intro. So hello guys, hi, welcome back to another YouTube video. If you didn't see last week's episode, we had a little look at the actual ins and outs of pre-visualization. So we had a look at blocking in particular and how much it affects the actual production process and in the end when you actually go on set and shoot stuff. So if you haven't seen that episode, I do suggest you go and check it out. Click on our channel just underneath this video or have a look at the link in the description down below. Of course, there's a little playlist I put up there which has all of our tutorial videos on there. It will also have directing tips number 1. So we actually talked about previs and how much that affects the overall production process, and that includes the way in which we block a scene. Now in particular, blocking is massively vital for the actual production, and today we're going to actually have a look at how the blocking that we did in last week's episode actually affected the way in which we shot the actual film interview in general. So let's have a little look at the clip from interview.
You don't win! You know this, right? Just because you survived this long doesn't mean you win. It just means you're prolonging the inevitable. Once I'm done over here, everything you love will burn alongside your body.
So with that being said, now we're going to have a look at the blocking that we did and how that affected it. So obviously we had a couple of major shots that we put into the blocking we didn't actually use in the end in the final cut, and that's because they're mainly safety shots. You know, for example, like the side-on shot that we did as the safety for Lish's shot in particular. We didn't really use that, didn't really need to use it to be honest, because we had the nice close-up over the shoulder and we also had the push in the beginning shot to establish the scene. We also managed to throw in a couple of little bits and pieces that I do actually want to talk about today. So the most important thing with actually filmmaking in general is having dynamics, depth of field and movement within your shot. With motion picture, it's quite different to the way in which you shoot photo. So photo, you can be very static, but you can also have depth at the same time. The way in which you compose a photograph is a little bit different to the way you compose video. So when directing, you always want to make sure you have some kind of motion within your video. And that kind of motion would be either like a slow push in, a pull focus, maybe a sweeping shot, maybe a jib arm that looks up, maybe a tracking shot that pulls right across your shot, or anything like that that actually has the movement. And that's actually camera movement. It doesn't even include the fact that your cast has to move as well. So the thing that you really want to look out for is making sure your cast have dynamics over the fact that your shots has dynamics. Say for example you're shooting a short film that has no budget whatsoever. You don't have the kit for it, you don't have anything like that. All you have is your camera, your tripod and some audio to go with it. What are you going to do? How are you going to make sure you have dynamics within your actual film? Well, it's quite simple really. All you have to do is look for character movement, and that is when your cast, they get up, they move around, they go into people's faces, they pull back. Maybe they are getting all intense in a scene, maybe they're getting upset, maybe there's a love scene and needs a hug or kiss or whatever you need. Make sure your characters are actually up and alive and moving around the screen, because they are people after all. When people talk, people move. I'm doing it right now. Been doing it since the start of the video. I've been moving around, I've been chatting, I've been moving my hands and stuff. Maybe you need to have that within your cast stuff. That's really, really important. Having that dynamic movement and that flow. Say for example you do have kit, you have maybe a slider or something like that, then yes, when you're on a tense scene, you need to get closer to the eyes of someone. You start on maybe a close-up, you push in very slowly to get to that extreme close-up, just to make it a bit more intense and intimidating. Maybe have something like depth of field. You need to put something in the way, in the object, in front of the camera to make sure it gives you that overall element of a 3D-ness, more of like rather than have a flat picture, you've got that defocused foreground and the focused background. It looks much nicer. Say for example, we had a shot in interview, actually, I might pull it up just now, where we had a little bin in the left corner. That wasn't originally there. The DOP actually suggested that we pulled the bin across to make it give it more depth and more flavour to it. So that's directing tips number 2. The most important thing within your film set is to make sure you have dynamics on screen. So there's some directing tips on set. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. My name is Thomas and I'm from Worthit Productions. If you are enjoying the content, then of course tutorials, they come up every single Tuesday at around about between 6 and 6:30 p.m. So I really do hope you enjoyed that content. If you want to stay tuned for more stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We do have a podcast every single Wednesday, but we do have a very exciting video coming out on Friday, so stay tuned to that. Thank you very much for watching, folks. My name is Thomas, and I hope to speak to you all in my next video. Bye bye.